Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It's the 8th of January, 2026. It's a Thursday. These are the WTF reports. I'm your host, Dave vonKleist, holding the media's feet to the fire because, doggone it, they won't stop lying. Guess what, you guys? You won't be trusted anymore. Yeah, scream it out, Dave. Oh, they just don't stop. They won't stop. They don't know how to stop, I guess. Anyway, welcome to the Thursday edition of the WTF Reports. And with the facts, with the audio receipts, I'm Dave vonKleist. And if those receipts make you exclaim WTF, well then, so be it. It's not like we don't have enough reason to say, God, what the hell is going on in this world? And don't think that all the insanity that we're seeing here is not being done deliberately. And it's really sad because, for years and years, you guys who know me, I've been around for a long time, 3 decades of broadcasting. And one of my main pet peeves has been the Department of Education. And you remember what George Carlin was saying about education? I should pull that clip up. I've got it in there. I didn't even think about it till just now. But we know that the Department of Education does not want you educated. A well-educated populace is very difficult to control. This is common sense. This is no-brainer stuff, folks. If you're capable of cognitive, thought, critical thinking skills, you're a danger to the powers that be. This is why they don't teach that. This is why for the past couple of decades, they've been giving out participation trophies. Listen to your feelings. It's not about facts and reality and history. It's how you feel about it. Yes, we got to have the warm fuzzies. We have to have diversity and inclusivity and all of those good, wonderful, warm, fuzzy things that make you feel good. This is why we've got generations that don't know how to deal with an opposing opinion. This is where we're at. This is why we have such intolerance from those who scream tolerance. This is why they condemn diverse opinions, and those people are the same ones screaming about diversity. Those are people that don't want anybody with an opposing opinion to be around you, but yet they scream inclusivity. The hypocrisy is insane. It's just crazy. And now we've got this horrendous situation up there in Minnesota, and I'm sorry to see that this young woman lost her life, but she did something stupid. She did something stupid. She will not listen to authority. And this is the same thing that's going across the board, with the liberal Democrats. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to create division here, but we have some serious division in this country. And unfortunately, this has been generated. It's been created. It's been promoted. It's been injected into our society. I don't know quite where to start here, but I suppose we should pick up where we left off yesterday. Of course, Governor Tim Waltz has withdrawn his bid for re-election to be governor, and I could understand why. His state is in an absolute mess, and people are saying, this is all because of ICE. It's all because of Trump. Well, no, it's not. If you look at the history and you look back into the Clinton years, look into the Obama years, you'll find that under both of those administrations, both of those presidential administrations were deporting even more immigrants than have been deported so far. And I want to remind you all, and I know I'm beating a dead horse and repeating myself repeating, that, when Trump began his bid for the presidency back in 2016, during the 2016 election, the Democrats, he was screaming, we have to build the wall. Build that wall. Remember people chanting, build that wall, build that wall. Yeah, he wanted to cut back on all the illegal immigrants that were coming into this country. Okay, and remember, the same thing was being touted by Bill Clinton and by Hillary Clinton and by Barack Obama and all the other Democrats under the Democrat administrations, and they were saying, yes, we have to crack down on the illegal immigrants and we have to deport them if they haven't come in here legally. And that's the same thing that Trump is doing. But because of Trump derangement syndrome, Trump does it, it's horrendous. We have to take to the streets and do all this other crap. But I got to tell you, this whole thing with Tim Waltz, yes, he's withdrawn his bid for the re-election of governor, but he's also going to be facing some very serious charges. Oh, man, I'll tell you, he's going to be in some serious deep doo-doo. James Comer was holding up a hearing, and Representative Anna Paulina Luna was speaking, and I just want you to hear some of the things that were said in this hearing. Here it is.
Chair recognizes Ms. Luna.
Thank you, Chairman Comer. Honorable Robbins, based on your record before your committee, when did Governor Walz first become aware of widespread fraud in Minnesota social service programs?
I would assume that he has been aware of it since he ran for office for governor in 2018.
By 2017, DHS investigators warned CCAP fraud could exceed 50%. What was that information elevated to the governor's office?
Yes, there was an OLA report.
Thank you, ma'am. By 2020, state officials knew feeding our future invoices were fraudulent. We know that payments continued to the AG's knowledge. Did they continue to the governor's knowledge as well?
Yes.
Attorney General Ellison agreed on tape to fight Minnesota's own Department of Human and Health Services in exchange for Somali political and financial support. In your personal opinion, do you believe it is a possibility that Governor Walz also made that personal deal, or that he at least knew about the Attorney General's agreement?
I don't know.
Okay. I don't want to rehash what you guys have spent hours answering. We know that there's a big issue with the fraud in Minnesota. So on a number of things, I'd first like to point out, thank you for being here today, but because of your testimony and because of some of the evidence that we've seen brought forward, as well as I'm sure the fact that this committee, I assume, at Chairman Comer's direction, will be soon subpoenaing AG Ellison, I would like to make criminal referrals regarding Governor Walz as well as AG Ellison. As you know, U.S. Code 371 and U.S. Code 2, which deals with criminalized conspiracies to defraud the United States and establishes liability for individuals who knowingly aid or abet the commission of federal offense, includes willful blindness or deliberate inaction where duties to act exist. So I will be referring them later on today.
Okay, so you're hearing how all of this stuff is starting to come out now. Now, the big number that everybody's hearing is $9 billion of fraud that they've found so far. Now, again, folks, do you know how big a billion is? A billion. 1 billion is 1,000 million. So if 1 billion is 1,000 million, that means that 9 billion is 900,000 million. Okay? I can't even find the word. So 1 billion is 1,000 million. Oh, excuse me. 9 billion would be 9,000 million, not 900,000. Excuse me. I know I got that wrong. But the point is that this is a huge amount of money. A huge amount of money. And now, from the testimony that you just heard, Tim Waltz has known about this since day one. Since before he even stepped into the governor's office. And meanwhile, again, I have to go back to what I was saying just a couple of minutes ago. Trump wanted to build the wall. Once he got in there, build the wall, cut back on all of the immigration coming in here. And then 2020 happened, and we're going to be hearing a lot more about the 2020 elections very, very shortly. But once he was thrown out of office and they put Biden in there, Biden and Kamala Harris and Alejandro Mayorkas, and they opened up the border and let tens of millions of illegals in here. And, of course, if you spoke out against that, you're a misogynist, you're a racist, you're a Nazi, you're this, you're that, blah, 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 blah. Oh, gosh. Well, the point is, folks, this whole problem that we've got is created because of the fact that the borders were opened up back in 2021 once Biden got into office, and all of these illegals came in here. And I have to say, this whole thing with the Somalians, and that's just one culture that's come into this country. The bottom line here is that the mess that we've got, it's not necessarily the illegal immigrants' fault, because a lot of them, their culture does not and will never be able to assimilate into ours. I was looking at an article that was posted at Fox News, and they made some very, very important points Let me see. I want to share with you. He says, let me see. Who was this that wrote this? Nairobi, Kenya, December 2011. I am in Kenya to research my 7th John Wells novel, The Night Ranger. Okay, I'm going to skip through all this stuff. I'll encapsulate this. Basically, the Somalian culture has nothing to do with law and order. It has everything to do with their family. Okay? They do whatever it is to protect their own. They don't go by rules and laws and anything like that. Everything is that's about their culture. They don't understand rule of law because they don't have that. And folks have to understand that when you allow a culture to come into our country, their culture, when it comes into this country and it's not designed to assimilate, they don't have the mindset to be able to come in here and say, oh, golly gosh, we've gone into a country that has laws and rules that we have to abide by. They don't understand that. That is a concept that is foreign to their culture. They don't know how to assimilate. But unfortunately, the Democrats don't care about that. No, they don't care about that at all. So anyway, let me see. I'm gonna grab a call real quick. I got a whole bunch of stuff to get you. So caller, hi, how are you? Where are you? Who are you? And make it short. Go ahead quickly, please.
It's your buddy Mike. I'm in Connecticut, and I may not be short.
Okay. What have you got for us? Are you on the same wavelengths as I am with this?
Right, but it's the Somalians and other Muslim cultures. They don't work like ours. They don't in Somalia.
Yeah.
Okay. For example, there's a 2,000-mile coastline.
Right.
They don't fish. They don't have boats. They don't go out to sea, and that is because they look inward into their clan, into
the family
their
thing.
Family.
Yes.
And the families govern. They are not under a system of government where we have federal, state, county, and city laws.
That's exactly what I was just saying. Right.
There's no law that says, if you go over 35 miles an hour, you're going to get a ticket. So putting that over to a Somalian is meaningless. They don't have laws like that. Now, what they do is they have rules to protect their families. And in these rules, it includes interbreeding. You marry your cousin, you marry your sister, your brother. It's all absolutely fine. Mm-hmm. You do not look outside of that family clan unit for anything. You're self-sufficient, and what you have is what you have. Mm-hmm. Now, you bring this to the United States, and they're not going to assimilate because they have no understanding of laws, morals, ethics.
That's right.
Their right and wrong is what they can get away with. You put out a law that it's illegal to go to the store and steal the ATM machine. It's not their law. They are not going to abide by it.
Thank you. You're absolutely right.
To protect this, okay, when they go into a neighborhood, they actually take over the neighborhood and they chase the local population out, which may be white, Italian, French, German, whatever, Greek. They chase them out, and they have done that and taken over whole neighborhoods. There are videos out there of people being harassed out of their homes, being forced to move. Now, in the great immigration of the past in the United States, if anyone knows your history, we had the Irish, the potato famine, we had the Germans, the Weimar, they were all escaping something. They came here. We even had the British. We've had the French. We've had the Poles. Okay, all welcome. Mm-hmm. Well, Irish, Boston, But anyways, all eventually welcomed. But what they did was the families honored U.S. law and our culture and our society, and they adopted it. And when they got their naturalized citizenship, they had to learn all this and sign off that they agreed to live as Americans. The Somalis are not doing these. these Somalis have been red stamped. They're not taking the citizenship test because they will not abide by the United States. They will not declare themselves under that.
Well, they couldn't pass the test anyway.
One more thing. Mm-hmm. The other thing that's different is when you go into Minnesota, these Somali kids are not going to the public school system. The school system has been taken over by the Somalians, and they are being taught by the Somalians. So they are learning the continuation of the Somali culture. So all these people, they got to assimilate. When that cop shot that lady, that was only about, that was the tail end of the whole interaction.
Right.
They had gone to that car and they had pulled her over and told her to get out of the car. When a police officer gives you a lawful order, you do it. You stop the car and you get out of the car. She did not obey that. She decided to put her foot on the pedal and drive off, which is eluding. That's fleeing and eluding.
Well, not only that, but she also hit the police officer.
And that is assault of a federal agent.
Right.
Now, with everything else that was going on, they take the whole story of what happened when they analyze this case. It's not just a matter of the time that the lady put on the car, to put her foot on the gas on the car. It includes everything leading up to that. When they were there, they were not even attempting to arrest anybody. Their truck got stuck in the snow and they were trying to get out.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's it. And these people came over and they blocked them and they created this. That's why that officer is not going to be charged with murder. He was defending himself in the line of duty in a situation that he was in, and when you take the whole story, he was defending himself and he was justified. But if an officer tells you to stop your car and get out of that car, that's a lawful order and you have to do it. And at that point, as you're fleeing and eluding, they don't know what you're going to do.
Yep.
They can shoot at you.
Yeah.
This is the United States. That's the way the law works. And these people decided to ignore it.
Yeah.
And
well,
if you look on video on YouTube, there's more and more stories about police stops.
Mm-hmm. And
I see these every day where the cops pull somebody over, and usually it's a sovereign citizen, and they're telling the person, you need to do this, you need to do this. And they end up getting pulled out of the car. They end up getting handcuffed and going to jail, and they don't think they've done anything wrong. Somehow, people think they can disobey a police officer. You can't. What you do is you do what the officer says, and then you work it out in court. That's what court is for.
Mm-hmm.
But these Somalians are not going to simulate. They're not being taught in American schools. They're Somali schools. They have kicked out the native population, white, Italian, Polish, brown, black, wherever we are. They kicked them out.
Yeah, well, also,
over.
if you look,
that has to be stopped. If you're defending the Somali situation, you really need to think about what you're doing.
Yeah, and you also have to look at that video. The woman who got shot, if you look at the video, you'll notice that when when the police approached the video, look at the position of the vehicle. She was blocking them. She wasn't facing, down the street like your car. If you're going to drive down the street, you should be straight in parallel with the street. But she wasn't. She was blocking them. They were saying, get out of your car. And she wouldn't do it. And like you said, she decided it was to slam on the gas. And that's in doing so, she hit the officer and he shot her. So, but you're right. These individuals, these Somalians and other cultures, they are incapable of understanding a rule of law. It is a foreign concept to them, and they will never understand that. And you're absolutely right. Their culture is absolutely, it's like oil and water. It'll never mix with the United States. So, anyway,
now,
thank you.
Anybody wants to see this article, it's Alex Berenson, Berenson, and he's an author. and it is an opinion piece. It was published on January 3rd. But you should be able to find it on Fox. Not that I'm a supporter of Fox, just the article is very good to explain the cultural situation.
Very good. Well, I appreciate your backup here because you're singing my song, Mike. I appreciate it. You're right on the target here. We're both thinking along the same lines.
I hope I said it succinctly and concisely.
You certainly did. Yes, you did. All right, Mike. Well, thank you so much, and I always love hearing from you, and I hope I hear from you again.
Okay.
All right. God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so, these people, like I said, they are not going to assimilate. Their job is to come in here and force everybody else to believe what they believe. Now, I got to tell you, when I was a young child, my mom had an apartment with her brother, my uncle, and we were in Brooklyn, and we were about a block away from the Brooklyn Public Library, Grand Army Plaza, and Prospect Park. And when I was a young child, I mean, gosh, I used to go to the Botanical Gardens right there at the Prospect Park and to collect tadpoles and frogs and stuff like that, things that little boys do, okay? But I've recently seen a video that was taken at Prospect Park, and again, this is where I was, growing up in my wonder years, and I wouldn't recognize the place now because it's been taken over. I'm going to take you to Brooklyn right now, and this is what it's like in Brooklyn. Give a listen to this. What you're hearing is prayer. They're putting it out through the loudspeakers. That's in Brooklyn, New York. Yeah, that's in Brooklyn. That's right in the neighborhood where I grew up. All right, well, let's go into Manhattan, go to New York City. And what's happening in New York City? These are blaring through the speakers all through the neighborhoods in New York. As early as 5 a.m. Now, I'm not trying to be, a racist or, anything like that. That's got nothing to do with it. But you can't force your religion on everybody else. And there are some people out there that have figured out, how to sidestep some of that stuff. I'm not quite sure where this is, but this guy's got the right idea. You can hear the Muslim prayer in the background. This guy got out his bagpipes. Okay, so what's happening here is we got some real conflict that's going on, okay? And it's almost like a holy war. Well, it is a holy war. Now, again, I bring to your attention that there are three main religions in this world. Of course, there's Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, okay? So, if there is going to be a holy war, let's pick two of those major religions and pit them against each other. Now, which two would you pick? All right, obviously you wouldn't want your own religion to be in that war. You want the other two to fight against each other, don't you? Yeah. So anyway, there is a method to this madness. And there is one group of people that wants to have the other two religious groups fight and annihilate each other. I wonder who that could be. I wonder.
Gog and Magog is you want to call it World War III, you want to call it the end of all wars, whatever you want to call it. It's called Gog and Magog according to the Torah. This war will start with a war between Ishmael, which is the Muslims, and Edom, which is the Christians. It's going to be a world war. Initially, they're going to kill each other, fight each other, try to destroy each other, but then they're going to turn around, stop the fight, and then both of them attack Israel. Obviously, the war is never going to stop. It's going to be a continuously built war and so on, but at some point, the Mashiach is going to come. The Jewish Mashiach is going to come. Not the Christian Mashiach, not the Arab Mashiach. The Jewish Mashiach is going to come, and the war is going to take the next big step. Once the Mashiach, son of David, will come, he will fight against the enemies of Am Yisrael. He will defeat all of them. 2/3 of the world are going to die, are going to be destroyed during these wars, some at different parts, but 2/3 of the world will die in a short period of time. The Gaon Vilna says 8 minutes. There's going to be a nuclear war where there's, as part of this Gog Magog, where in 8 minutes 2/3 of the world are going to die. 1/3 will remain. That third that remains, some of them will survive. The only people that are going to survive are Jews that are righteous Jews, that are Torah observant. They're observing Shabbat, they're observing family purity, they're observing the Torah.
Okay, I'm going to stop it there. That's a rabbi explaining what he believes. Now again, campers, I've been telling you for years and years, it doesn't matter what I believe. It doesn't matter what you believe. What matters is what, quote unquote, they believe. Now, if they believe this, and they're the ones who are pulling the strings, if they are the movers, the shakers, the policy makers, if they have moved themselves into positions of extreme power and influence, then how do you suppose this whole thing is going to play out? I don't know. Yeah, I sort of do, but I don't want to say at this point. Anyway, I'm going to take a quick break.
Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale.
We will shine a light on you.
Plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary.
And you can get More Tank by visiting our website. Run screaming to your computer and go to TheWTFReports.com. Now, I've been touting and promoting Get More Tank for 2 years now, and I'm glad I have, because the folks that I've in my circle who have tried it, they say, "Hey, this stuff is really good." I say, "Yeah, I tell you so. I tell you." And right now, I'm trying to tell you people out there, this stuff works. It's good for your engine. So if you haven't tried Get More Tank, I don't know what you're waiting for. This is a win-win situation. Your car is going to run much better. You're going to have more power. It runs cleaner, which is good for the environment. And after a few tanks, you will start to realize how much more mileage you're getting. Anywhere between 15 and 20%, depending upon your make, model, year of vehicle, and your driving habits. But if you're getting 20% better mileage, that means in one purchase of Get More Tank is going to save you anywhere between $30 and $40. How much does it cost to fill your tank right now? All right, well, maybe not that much. Some smaller cars, of course, you can fill it up for $30 or $35. I don't know, price of gas in your area. But the bottom line here is you spend $20, and by the time you finish that the 5 tablets in the package, you're going to save a tank of gas. So let's see, 20. That's you get a free tank. And so this is a no-brainer, folks. Your car runs better, more power, and you save money. What are you waiting for? Please go to our website, TheWTFReports.com, click on the sponsors page, and Get More Tank. And by the way, you can sign up for a monthly, if you're a regular commuter and you go through it, maybe a tank a week commuting to and fro. Well, guess what? You can sign up for automatic delivery. So you can get, they'll send it to you once a month or once every 2 months, any way that you want to set it up. So again, go to our website, TheWTFReports.com, go to the sponsors page, and get more tank. All right, getting back into it here. Yesterday, I was playing an audio clip from Leora Rez. Now, she heads up the Stop Anti-Semitism group that is working very hard to stop all this hatred towards the Jews. Now, folks that are speaking out against Zionism, against genocide, against favoritism, against the influence that Israel has on our government. And again, you look at how many people in Congress and in the Senate who are taking money from AIPAC and from other Israeli political action groups out there. There can be no denying whatsoever, and it's not just our government. Look at the media. Look at the newspapers. Look at television, radio, all of it. Look who the CEOs are. Look who the presidents of these groups are. Look who the news editors are. I mean, you don't have to look too much farther to start to understand that this group of individuals, and again, here in the United States, Jews are only 2% of the nation's population. Only 2% of the population, and yet they're controlling 98% of everything. There's something wrong here. And of course, people like you or me, we pointed out, somehow we're bad people. Right? Well, this is Leora Rez, and this is what she was explaining, what their tactics are to shut us up. Oh, yes, those conspiracy theories and those false statements that we control everything, we control the media. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to control the media. Listen to this.
We will shine a light on you that, thanks to Google and SEO, will follow you for the rest of your life. When you look for a job, when you look for a spouse, when you look for a nanny, when you look for anything, our work will always be documented, again, thanks to Google and SEO. In corporations where DEI leaders smeared Israel, excused Hamas, we pressured CEOs. Some resigned, many were terminated, but policies were changed, thankfully.
Yeah. Okay, so there you go. That's what their tactics are. So let's move this now over those same tactics that are going to be used by other people for other objectives. Listen to this.
Ms. Rarick, you spoke about the retaliation that many have experienced in light of trying to expose the fraud and the corruption happening in Minnesota. Can you speak more to that and what people are experiencing when they try to sound the alarm on what's happening?
Okay, so if you try to sound the alarm of what's going on in Minnesota, and I have no doubt in Ohio, in Massachusetts, in Georgia, in California, okay, if you have the unmitigated gall and the audacity to point out the corruption, this is what you face.
Right. So that retaliation's been going on for quite some time. If you look at what Faye Bernstein said in a news report or Newsweek article back in 2019, it started for her, and she was heavily investigated. She was actually moved to a different state agency. She was, retaliated against in every kind of way you can think. What's happened now is retaliation has escalated, and now it's you're going to lose your job, you're going to lose your home, we're going to track your children, we're going to make sure that you can't get a job anywhere else in state government. And for Minnesota, that means probably Minneapolis, St. Paul, Hennepin County, Ramsey County, Duluth, Rochester. You can't get a job anywhere that Democrats control.
That's pretty terrifying. Do you think that's going to prevent people from continuing to speak out on the issue?
Well, we are really hoping that with all of this light on it and, telling people that this is the retaliation, that if something like that does come to fruition, right now it's threats, although some people have been fired, that they have a little bit more ability to speak up and speak to us, and that we can cover them in that way. But it's been really, really bad, and it's been bad for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Rarick?
So this is their methodology. That's what they do. It's the same tactics. And it's not only in that particular situation. Let me see. There was another one here. Where's that other clip here? I can't find it right now. But no, that's a different one. Anyway, the point is that the tactics are the same. They're absolutely the same. Now, this whole thing that's going on in Minnesota, Of course, there's discussion going on in in the government, and I have to tell you, there is a Democrat Representative Emily Randall, and she has her own feelings about what we should be doing about the fraud and the Somalians who have stolen over $9 billion just in Minnesota. And here's her solution to the problem.
We can trot out all of the data that we want to create the sense that there is a bad guy. There is a bad group of people. There are folks who are not among us. There are folks who are other. And I think we should spend a lot more time looking at ourselves.
Ourselves?
Looking at American citizens.
Our fault?
Looking at white men.
Oh, there it is. White men. She's going to blame the white males of this country for the fraud in Minnesota. This is how insane. I mean, the left, I just don't understand. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. The propaganda is just way over the top. Way over the top. As a matter of fact, there's a woman who posts on Instagram, TikTok, and X. Her name is Avery Day, and she pointed out several different news articles which are totally spun. And basically, I start every single broadcast on with a song that I wrote 30 years ago, You Won't Be Trusted Anymore, dedicated to the mainstream media because of their propaganda, because of their gaslighting, because of the massaging and manipulating of information, and because of their flat-out lies. Well, thank you, Avery Day, for posting this. Now, she's dealing with several different news reports, and then she tells the truth about it. Let me see if we can sort this out. Listen up. Okay, I'm going to pause it for a second. This woman is on her knees. She's in the process of being arrested, and she's screaming, I'm an American citizen. I'm a real person. Okay, let's see what happens.
She was driving her boyfriend's car, who was in the country illegally. She refused to roll down the window when asked. She refused to give proper identification. When asked, she did not cooperate with ICE, and when they were able to confirm her identity, she was released within 10 minutes. Next.
Okay. So in that situation, the car was pulled over because her boyfriend was an illegal immigrant, and she was refusing to cooperate with ICE. So this is why she was on her knees in the process of being arrested. Because they didn't know who she was, but they knew the car belonged to an illegal immigrant. Once they figured out who she was, they released her. But the media didn't tell you. Okay, here's number 2.
On the Trump administration's immigration crackdown, with instances of U.S. citizens getting caught up in the surge of arrests.
Okay, they're showing a video of a woman running down the street and then up a driveway, and there's an ICE officer who is chasing her, and he stops at the driveway. Okay, let's carry on.
Take a look at this. This is a stunning video from Louisiana. You hear that woman cry out. She's a 23-year-old running down the street away from the masked agent.
ICE was specifically targeting an individual that was a public safety threat with prior charges for felony theft and conviction for illegal possession of stolen property. This individual fit the physical description. They identified themselves, and then she ran. Once she confirmed her identity, they left. No arrest was made. Next.
So she matched the description of someone who had done something illegal. She was running away, and the ICE officer was chasing her. But once they caught up to her and she showed out who she was and that she wasn't the suspect, they let her go. But the media didn't tell you that part of it. No.
Next.
Her name is Dulce Consuelo Diaz, and again, her lawyers say she was arrested by ICE a week ago today, but claims she was born in Maryland, where she lives now with her family and has multiple forms of official documentation confirming her citizenship.
The papers she provided, fake. She is a Mexican national who entered into the U.S. illegally.
So sometimes when you show your papers and the papers turned out to be fake, well, yeah, you're going to get arrested. Okay? But the media didn't tell you that.
Next.
U.S. citizen who was 9 months pregnant was hospitalized upon her release from immigration custody after she was detained by federal agents. Carrie Lopez has been experiencing sharp pains in her stomach after immigration agents arrested her, despite being a United States citizen.
They showed up to arrest her illegal husband, who's from Guatemala. She blocked access, therefore obstructing the arrest. You don't want to get arrested while you're pregnant. Don't obstruct justice. She was also released once her U.S. citizenship was confirmed. Next. Oh, we've got Tampon Timmy saying that federal agents are arresting U.S. citizens.
Okay, before I play that one, I want to remind you that yesterday Tampon Timmy basically was saying, look, we have our National Guard, and it's up to me to deploy our National Guard. Okay? Now, can you imagine? Now, if you're going to have federal officers, ICE agents, and these guys are well trained. These guys, they know what they're doing. Can you imagine? Tim Waltz, in your wildest dreams, I know, maybe it's like that scene out of Braveheart. When King Edward the Longshanks figured he wanted to get rid of all the Scots who were rebelling against him. So he calls in the Irish, and he's going to sick the Irish on the Scots. And he's sitting there on the side watching the Irish army come this way, and here come the Scots that way, and they're moving towards each other. Edward the Longshanks is so happy he's going to see them annihilate each other. And then they all charge each other. And when they get to the middle, they all hug each other and start shaking hands. Can you imagine if that was to happen in Minnesota? If Tim Waltz tried to bring in the National Guard to go up against ICE and the federal agents? That could happen. That would be sweet. Sweet. That would be so sweet.
This woman, Susan, got a notification on her phone that ICE raids were happening. She left her house at 6:30 in the morning, tried to break through a security perimeter set up for public safety, ignored lawful commands, and became violent, assaulting a federal agent. What did Trader Tim say? This isn't about public safety. This is about stoking fear. That's ironic. Why don't you guys tell the full truth? Because if I, an American citizen, were to obstruct justice, were to get in the way of a federal investigation, a federal officer, if I were to not listen to an officer, I'd be arrested. This demonization of ICE, this chaos that the Democrats are creating is exactly what they want. They want you to believe that ICE is bad, because they need to import the votes.
Bingo.
There is always more to the story.
That's exactly right. Because they opened the borders under the Biden-Harris administration, they needed more votes. The only way they got in 2020 is because of the fraud. And they know they can't maintain power unless they can get more votes. Otherwise, they got to commit more voter fraud. So they import all of these illegals, and they want to keep them here. They don't want them to be deported. That's why they're doing everything they can to block the deportations. That's why they're doing everything they can to get Antifa and all of these people who are funded by George Soros. And again, I remind you, over this past weekend, remember, it was Friday night / Saturday morning, actually Saturday morning at 2 a.m. when Maduro was extracted from Venezuela. Saturday morning, 2 a.m. And yet by 7 a.m., a mere 5 hours later, all the major cities were already supplied with pre-printed posters. How did that happen? Well, that's because you got people like George Soros, and the Open Society that are funding these groups. They don't want these people deported. They don't want any. Well, I know that seems to be unrelated to Maduro, but the point is that they're doing everything that they can to thwart any efforts by Trump and the Republicans, because they are desperate to keep these votes. So you're going to see your media going to be pumping up the hatred against the federal agents, calling them Gestapo, calling them Nazis, calling them fascists. And, and again, we're dealing with a group of people who were brought up in the past couple of decades here that have no ability to understand, what it is to have to win and to lose, because they were brought up with participation trophies. They were brought up with the priority of your emotions and how you're feeling rather than facts, history, and law and common sense. This is why we are in the problem we're having the problem that we're having today. So I wanted to applaud that woman. As a matter of fact, speaking of this whole thing about Maduro and the liberals, there was a woman who posted the following, and I got to play this. This is too good. Listen to this.
I figured out why you like Nicolas Maduro so much. You guys have a lot in common. For example, he thinks cheating is fine as long as it helps him win. You think cheating is fine as long as it helps you win. He likes to put his political opponents in jail. You like to put your political opponents in jail. He gains his support through threats, fear-mongering, and intimidation. You gain your support through threats, fear-mongering, and intimidation.
Bingo.
He lashes out with violence against people who have different opinions. You lash out with violence against people who have different opinions. He only likes brown people when he can control them. You only like brown people when you can control them. He wants people that he disagrees with politically to... You want people that you disagree with politically to... He hates America. You hate America. It all makes sense. I understand why you'd be marching in the streets and really upset over this. It's almost like you guys are exactly like the tyrannical dictator.
Isn't that interesting? And I remind you, it was only a couple months ago we had not one, but 2 nationwide protests. No kings, no kings, no dictators. We hate dictators. We hate dictators. This went on and on and on across the country. So Trump goes in and he pulls out a dictator. You can't take down a dictator. You can't. Unbelievable. And these. What? How do we fix this, folks? How do we straighten this out? This is it's just crazy. It's just crazy. And of course, it's not just happening in Minneapolis. It isn't just, all these Muslims and Somalians, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, this is a situation that's going on all over the country. And we've covered this particular issue in the past. Outside of Dallas, Texas, is Epic City.
And alarm bells and some very serious questions about extremism and integration, because a proposed Muslim city, that's right, it's a full-scale Islamic community. We're looking at the pictures here. This is obviously the CGIs of what it would look like. 1,000 homes, schools, clinics, parks, shops, and, of course, a massive mosque, has just been rebranded after the governor of Texas accused its backers of wanting to enforce Sharia law on American soil. It was called, this town, Epic City. It's an acronym for the people behind the development, which is the East Plano Islamic Community. The East Plano Islamic Community, Epic. Now it's been quietly renamed The Meadow, a soft pastoral name for a project tied to a cleric with one of the hardest extremist records in America. So meet Yasser Kadai. Now, he is the man behind the plan.
Yasser Kadai, that's the guy's name, okay? Keep listening. Caller, just hang on. I'm going to play the rest of this clip, and I'll get right to you.
He's a preacher with a decades-old history of Holocaust denial. Recordings of him calling for the execution of gay people and adulterers exist, and yet this same figure is behind a project to build this huge Islamic settlement. It's just outside of Dallas. And Governor Greg Abbott has already stepped in, branding the idea a Sharia city and ordering state agencies to review it. Now, Epic, the city and the business behind it, deny everything, of course. They say they are peaceful. They say it is a multi-ethnic, open community, a place for men and women. They say they've got nothing to hide. But their own cleric's archived sermons tell a very different story.
Listen to this.
He tells followers, quote, stoning adulterers, killing homosexuals, this is our religion. And then he adds, we can't do this in America. But if we had an Islamic state, we would. So that's the backdrop. And here's what makes this so sensitive. Texas has one of the fastest growing Muslim populations in America. And counter-extremism experts warn that this could become a mini-state within a state where radical ideology spreads far from the reach of American democratic oversight.
No kidding. And I can't help but laugh when I see these photographs of protests and people marching down the streets of New York City, gays that want to support Muslims. Don't you understand that if they implement Sharia law, dear gay people, the LGBTQ plus people, they will be thrown from the top of buildings. They will kill you. And you're out there marching for them? How hard did they hit you with that stupid stick? Let's go to the phones. Go ahead, caller. Thank you for holding. I appreciate your patience. You're on the air. Go for it.
Well, this is Cynthia.
I know you weren't hit with a stupid stick. You're pretty smart.
All things constitutional. you're not going to like to hear this, but the federal government has no enumeration in the Constitution to have an armed band of people to enforce their laws. All laws were to be enforced by the militia.
Mm-hmm.
And that is because with the British Empire, they'd already been invaded, and they didn't like that, and they knew that any kind of central government could get so powerful, they could overcome the people's rights.
Uh-huh.
So the militia is the answer.
Correct.
And ICE is not the correct answer, but apparently that's what he's having to do because of all the violations of the Constitution, bringing in the Somalians. And apparently they were being cleared out of an area of Somalia, so Somalia could be separated into two countries, so that the area they left could be occupied by Palestinians.
Yeah, and that's why Bibi Netanyahu is working so hard to make Somaliland. Yeah, I heard about that too. So,
Yeah,
and unfortunately, you're absolutely right. You know, we used to have a militia, but of course that went away hundreds of years ago. It was supposedly replaced by the National Guard, but that's not constitutional. So you're absolutely right. But the bottom line here, yes, we have a First Amendment right of, freedom of religion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the religion does not have a right to overthrow the law of the land, the Constitution. That's where we have to draw the line.
Correct. They chose not to make the United States a theology because they said, well, which Bible would we choose?
Yeah, right.
Multiple Bibles in play in, continental America. And they don't all say quite the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we don't have all the religious strife. We did have some early on with Catholics and Protestants, but we figured out how to overcome that so that we weren't torn apart like other countries were with all these religious wars.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hearing that numerous senators were on the take, taking money from Venezuela, which was helping to rig the elections.
Correct.
And that quite possible Trump couldn't bring the issue of going into Venezuela, which has basically declared war on us by helping to manipulate our elections. And he couldn't actually bring it in front of the Senate because so many senators were involved in accepting money from a foreign country that they are treasonous.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I was really sad to see that Rand Paul was on that list of people who accepted money.
And they're all innocent until proven guilty.
True.
But I don't hold out much hope for the Democrats. For Rand Paul, I'm wondering if they caught him in a moment, drugged him and hypnotized him and got him to take it and not understand what he was doing. Because I think that MK Ultra technique is alive and well in America.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, let me ask you, we got about 1 minute left here. Let me ask you, do you see a holy war being fomented here?
Oh, I think your assessment that a certain population of people who wear little hats would love to see Muslims and Christians fighting. But one acquaintance of mine who's Afghani but raised here says the Quran says that Christians and Muslims will unite to destroy the Antichrist.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the people in Israel are primarily not religious Jews, and they behave in ways that foment wars and kill innocent children, and they might very well be considered the Antichrist. Just saying.
Well, yeah, you're right, but I have to tell you, I believe that not all of the Israelis are on board with this. As a matter of fact, hundreds of thousands of them are in the streets as we speak, demanding that Netanyahu face charges. So, I mean, there are some Israelis out there that have their heads screwed on because they realize what Netanyahu is doing is putting every Jew on this planet in danger. So, hopefully, they're going to figure that out.
One of the judges
I hate to say it, but the music's playing and I can't stop it. Oh my God, we're flat out of time. All right, thank you so much for calling in. Hopefully I'll hear from you again soon. All right, that's going to wrap it up for today's Thursday installment of the WTF Reports. I so much appreciate your listenership. And if you would be so kind, if you're listening on BitChute or YouTube or Rumble or Facebook or whatever, Click like, share, subscribe, and above all else, spread the word. Word of mouth is the best advertising. And if you can find it in your heart to do some business with us, we could really appreciate it. Check out the Wave Watch and get more tank. Go to our website, TheWTFReports.com, and do some business with us. All right, that said, it's going to wrap it up. I'm out of here. God bless you all. Stay safe, stay free, and I'll see you tomorrow.